Hey, it's Jim Prevost with Embrace the Shake with my boy, Darryl Crawford. We're going to start off with a little beach music tonight. Hey, Darryl, you like beach music?
I love beach music.
You love beach music? There's a song on my phone. I love beach music. You know who made that song?
Who?
A beach music band.
You can make a song out of that. Probably never sell her.
How you feeling right now?
Feeling good.
Why you feeling good?
Well, I got plenty of drugs in there.
The reason I'm playing this song because it's called It Will Stand, and neither one of us can do that very well. What do you think?
I can't stand very well today.
I can't stop laughing. I wonder why. We're going to turn it down a little bit tonight. Hey, look who's coming on. Kirsty, you get 100 points. 100 points for watching the Jim and Darryl show. We're going to call it Darryl's Excellent Adventure in the Parking Lot.
Sounds good.
Heather Queen, she's Becky Wright's daughter.
Hi.
Becky, that's in our boxing class.
Boxing class.
Yeah. Bob Sherman, how you doing, Bob? His brother Jim will be on in a minute. They're like Siamese twins, but apart. Does that make sense?
No.
Good, because that doesn't make sense to me either. All right, now if I can get my phone to work, I'll tone the music down a little bit. Hey, it's Jim and Darryl. We're Embrace the Shake, our weekly PD show. We appreciate everybody coming on. Penny's on tonight. You know Penny.
Hey, Penny.
Penny, you gonna wave at us?
Hey, Gary.
She's not waving.
She's not waving.
No, but you can't wave on this thing, so I guess that's why she's
Might
not
be
waving.
it then.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about my celebrity to the right, and he's going to tell us about his story. You probably guessed it. Darryl has Parkinson's disease.
Hey.
That's you. And I'm Jim. I have Parkinson's disease. We're at different stages. And as you see tonight, we'll kind of sync a little bit on some things that we do. Like right now, I'm kind of leaned over in his seat, so we can put both big fat heads on the screen. But at the same time, I'm a little off balance. Alex Lathrop's one of my former students, graduated from Shelby High School. Alex is an inspiration to all of us, and I'll tell you about her story a little bit later on. My cousin Shelley Prevost is on tonight. Mary Ann says hello. You'll hear some background noise, right? Because we have two people in our audience tonight.
Right.
Live audience, first time ever. That's right. So if they're back there cutting up, we're going to have to definitely call them down. Did you get security in here? Did you call for security tonight, or are we going to have to wing it?
We're going to have to wing it.
Yeah, because we've been to boxing class, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you'll be jab and I'll be cross. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. Hey, Darryl, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've got a wife of 27 years and two sons, 21 and 23. And I've had Parkinson's been diagnosed for 7 years, but my journey goes back about 10 years.
So did you have any signs 10 years ago? Did it kind of creep up on you before you went to the doctor and diagnosed? Can you kind of address that 10 to 7 year period?
Yeah, what happened was I was a local and regional planner in Shenandoah Valley, Virginia for about 15 years. In 2008, we went down to Florida State, go Knowles, and we went down there to take a dual master's program in demography and planning. And I made it through 2008 fine. And in 2009, I had a professor tell me that it was taking me too long to do work and I needed to go get tested. And so I got tested and they said I had a learning disability. And so they gave me some accommodations and everything went fine. I went on and completed my master's, both masters. And then we moved from Tallahassee to Panama City, and I had a bout of depression that came out of nowhere, and it just knocked me for a loop. And I ended up going for a week in psychiatric hospital. And when I got out of there, they assigned me a psychiatrist and a counselor, and they were looking at it as a mental health issue. and we didn't know what was going on. And they gave me all kind of drugs, all kind of psychotic drugs, and nothing was working. And my wife, she got frustrated with things going nowhere, and she started pulling together all my medical records, and she said, "We got to go see a neurologist."
Good job, Beth. Good job.
And so we went to see a neurologist, and he said, well, he wasn't a Parkinson's neurologist, but he thought it might be that. And so we started getting tested for that. Went to Mayo Clinic twice and didn't get any response from them. And so we were basically out of money from spending on drugs and doctors and counselors. And so my parents offered for us to move up here to Kings Mountain with them. And we have a relative who's a primary care physician in Lincolnton. And she said, I think you've got Parkinson's. So she sent me to a Parkinson's neurologist in Hickory. And as soon as I walked in the door, he said, you got Parkinson's, we'll start treating it. And so he tried all kind of combination of drugs. And a lot of them didn't, I don't tolerate drugs very well. And so he just kept at it until he got me where I was stable. And then I found out that where I had worked in Virginia, they didn't pay disability, Social Security disability, so I couldn't go on disability because I didn't have any work credits. And you have to have 40 total work credits for Social Security disability, and 20 of them have to be in the last 10 years. And so I had the 10 for the previous 20 years, but not for the past 10 years. I had 0. So I went to a movement specialist in Charlotte, and she did some testing on me. And between the two doctors, the doctor in Hickory and the doctor in Charlotte, they got me balanced out where I could go back to work. And a friend of mine who I'd worked with in Virginia had a contact at a community college in the northern Shenandoah Valley, Ward Fairfax Community College, and they hired me as a part-time grant writer. And what I would do is spend a week up in Middletown, Virginia, and then 3 weeks back here working from home. And that went for 5 years, and they were getting ready to lay me off. And we counted up, I was going to have to quit too because I couldn't function anymore. And we counted up the credits, and I had one more credit than I needed. So I was able to come back and go through some more testing and then apply for disability. And had a local attorney in their legal aid assistant who did a wonderful job, and I got disability on the first round.
That's really odd, not odd, but really difficult to get it the first time.
Well, it was interesting how I went 5 years, and I was fully functional, and I had an 8-hour commute up there to the school, and I drove in June 2017. I drove up there and back, stayed a week and drove up there and back. And by July 1st, I couldn't drive anymore. And then everything sort of went downhill from there. And so I started where I couldn't dress myself. I couldn't, all the things I normally could do, I wasn't able to do anymore.
Right.
And so the last 2 years, we've been fighting it aggressively, and it's every day's a blessing.
So they diagnosed you with depression first because of the rapid onset.
Right.
Did they ever take any blood tests?
No, they didn't. And the other thing, which I didn't mention,
That would have been the bingo.
the
I'm
other
sorry.
thing I didn't mention is I kept telling them that it wasn't mental, that it was physical. And if it wouldn't have been for my wife stepping in and advocating for me, they would have really got me. And during that period, they were giving me all those drugs. I got suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out later that depression is three quarters of the symptoms of depression are also symptoms of Parkinson's. And what I was experiencing was the Parkinson's side of depression, but mental health people didn't recognize Parkinson's.
So what that does, Darryl, is that kind of proves the point that our disease is so misunderstood, right?
Right.
And so misdiagnosed and so poorly taught in med school training.
Correct.
Because that's the disease you're not supposed to die from, right?
Right.
Right. And we both know that you don't die from Parkinson's. You die with it.
Die
right?
with it. Right.
Die with it. So you go to the doctor and they diagnose you with depression, and they don't ever take any chemical values out of you whatsoever to determine what your hormones are doing.
Correct.
And for 3 years, essentially, they were completely misdiagnosing him. And I'm looking off screen at his wife.
Yeah.
Okay. So in my situation, mine was memory first. And it started going south fast. Isn't that right, hon? And I couldn't organize anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I couldn't organize things. And once they started me on the medication, after they did an MRI and found out that I didn't have Lewy body dementia, but they had it almost categorized down. This is Lewy body dementia. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewy body's dementia goes with Parkinson's.
Correct.
It's hand in hand. They're brother sister. Actually, I think they're cousins. What do you?
One's in front of the other.
That's right.
Basically.
That's right. So you go motor first and memory second, what they normally say.
Yeah.
But then the research is showing now is you can go together.
Well, when I look back, I had friends that were telling me, my parents, they came to visit us in Florida, and my mom said, your right shoulder's drooping and your right arm's not swinging. And I told her she knew what she was talking about. And then I had a neighbor ask me if I was having shoulder surgery because my right side was drooping and dragging. And that, as I look back on it now, those signs were there. But I didn't know what Parkinson's was. We were just looking for a name to put on whatever I had, and that's what it turned out to be.
Have they categorized your Parkinson's? Have they put it in a Parkinson's category? Or they just say, yeah, Parkinson's?
Just got Parkinson's.
Don't talk more motor or anything like that?
I'm about everything.
You got a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything.
All right. Let's do some comparatives if you don't mind. Do you smell?
No.
Do you taste?
I've lost my taste.
You lost your taste, so you missed the meatloaf that you like.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Does you have trouble swallowing?
Not that much.
Not that much.
I drink everything through a straw.
So even your mashed potatoes through a straw?
My wife feeds me those.
Okay. All right. Do you use any adaptive silverware at all?
I've tried everything, and it'll work for the heavy stuff worked for a while, and then it quit working, and I've lost pretty much control of my hands.
How about the gyro spoons? Have you tried those?
Yeah, I tried those, and that didn't work.
So there was gyro in one way, and your hands go in the other, and food's going everywhere.
Yeah, and then the clip-on utensils, I tried those, and they worked for a little while, and then quit working.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things about as you go through Parkinson's, things will work for a while, And then like the button hooker. When I first got the button hooker, because I couldn't button my shirt, it didn't work. Then I tried it later and it worked, and then it quit working. So finally, I just gave it to somebody who needed one.
Did you see the magnetic shirt thing that I put up?
I did.
Yeah, I think they have those at Target, and they're like $9 or $10 or whatever. So we'll look into that. So do you mind having the viewers see your hands today? Okay. Can you extend your fingers out? All right. Let me get one up. Here we go. All right. Thank you, brother.
Sure, no problem.
How has that progressed over the past couple of years or the past 6 months? Has that progressed a lot, or has it been a gradual progression?
It's been a gradual progression. I started noticing it about a year and a half ago, and then it's just progressed where now I was able to feed myself, but now I pretty much have to have somebody feed me because I can't hold on to.
Can't hold on to the spoon or fork or whatever.
Yeah.
How's your posture been?
Well, I've got pictures of me a year and a half ago, and I was standing up straight. And if you look at pictures over time, the last year and a half, I'm getting more and more stooped over. And I go to a chiropractor once a week, and he helps keep me straight.
Right. He adjusts you?
He adjusts me.
Mm-hmm. Does he do any stretching or anything like that?
I do the traction table.
Oh, good.
And the electronic.
The E-stem?
Yeah.
Shoots a little electrical current in there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And, to reduce the spasm.
Yeah. And then of course the adjustment. Mm-hmm. So, and I missed it this week because he was out of town yesterday, and so I missed it this week, and I can tell it.
Would you like to shout your doctor out? Do you like your doctor a lot?
I think he keeps me going. He keeps me going.
Do you want to give him a shout out so people might hook up with him that have our disease? Or
Dennis Reno Chiropractic.
There you go, Dr. Dennis Reno. Dr. Dennis Reno also teaches jiu-jitsu at Strike Fit.
Oh, really?
Where we train. Yes,
I didn't know that.
Yes, he does.
Huh.
I believe he's a purple or a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So he has to do so many hours of teaching to go to his next belt level, and then takes a horrendous test. Usually a jiu-jitsu test is all day long. It's about an 8-hour test.
I don't know what I do
without
Not
any written part. It's all jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd do without him.
Yeah. So he's helped you a lot, huh?
Yes. They don't have a lot of research on chiropractic and Parkinson's, but it sure helps me.
My chiropractor is Dr. Heather Ellison, and I taught her. And the research is there, Darryl. I think it gets suppressed by the regular medical community.
Yeah.
You know. So after you come from your chiropractor's visit, how do you feel compared to before when you walked in the office? How do you feel when you come out?
Oh, I feel great. I'm standing up straighter and have a lot more energy. Uh-huh. And like I said, I can tell this week that I missed it.
Mm-hmm. So how do you physically tell? Other than, I didn't go to my normal appointment. How do you feel without your chiropractic treatment?
Well, I have a lot of lower back pain because I'm stooped over, and I can't stand up very long. Mm-hmm. I have to be seated.
Do you see a change in your balance?
Yes, I do.
So when you go see Dr. Reno and you come out of the clinic, there's a change in your balance.
Yes, I can hobble in and walk out.
Mm-hmm. Beth, do you see a change in him when he comes out? Do you see a change? And I don't mean to talk like you're third person.
That's okay.
All right. Do you see a change in him when he comes out of boxing?
Definitely. Yes.
We got to get a chiropractic's office right there, right there in boxing. Do an hour of boxing, get your back cracked, and hit the road. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Boxing has been.
All right, if you want to be a part of Jim and Darryl's chiropractic boxing clinic and franchise, just mail us $65,000. 65 good for a start.
That works.
Okay, for a 6-month membership, and you can come to Strike Fit, get 1 hour of boxing from Jim and Darryl, and we'll hook you up with Dennis. He'll crack, 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 hit with you the East time. We accept Blue Cross and Blue Shield, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's right. And one thing that I'd like to say about chiropractic medicine is that the whole concept of chiropractic medicine is really kind of evolved to be more holistic. Have you had any dry needling or any acupuncture or any cupping or anything like that?
No, I haven't had that.
All right. And you've been on the traction machine.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what the traction machine does, it opens up. Let's say this is your vertebrae here. Let's say this is lumbar, your low back vertebrae 1, and this is lumbar 2, and they're stacked like this. And there's a disc in between, like a little piece of sponge. Well, in spines that are compressed either for muscle spasm like you have, right?
Right.
And tone and body position, that comes down and it ties in. And what happens with the decompression, the traction machine, they open that up. And when they open the space, then the disc can do its job of providing cushion, and the nerves don't get entrapped, and your legs work better.
Right.
If you're pinching off the telephone cable, the message isn't going to get sent.
I tell them this goes for 8 minutes, and I tell them give me an hour. They don't do it, but they laugh. But I love it. It makes you feel great.
Have they done like an 8-minute segment and then you're off and rest 10 minutes and do another 8-minute segment at a different level?
No.
Okay. We'll talk about that after. Okay. It's not the right or the wrong perspective. It's just a different one. When I work with spines to be decompressed, I can do different levels. Okay. So we can talk about that after the show. All right, Darryl. My roommate Bob is from New Jersey. Don't hold that against him.
I'll try.
Also known as the Bull.
Which exit?
What exit? He lives in Brick. You know where Brick is?
No, I just remember the old joke. What exit?
Yeah, what exit you live in, Bob? Okay. Anytime there's any kind of apparatus involved or anything about wrestling, he always brings up the foreign object. Did you ever follow professional wrestling?
When I was young.
When you're young, they always used to bring something.
I saw Ric Flair in the
Ric Flair. There you go.
Coliseum.
Now, Penny brings up our boxing class. Anybody that has any motor, right, or cognitive disorder can come to our boxing class. Bob is at exit 91, by the way. And that's our show for this evening.
I always wanted to do that. I don't meet very many people from New Jersey, so I always wanted to do that.
Hey, you blink more than Becky blinks?
Well, I got tons of eye drops.
One thing we don't blink a lot, do I, Mary? No.
I have
people say I'm staring at them.
Yeah.
I tell them, you're ugly. Why would I want to stare at you?
I have double vision, about 3/4 of the time.
So you've got double vision, both eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see 4 of everything?
Yeah, I just pick which one I want.
But if I pee my pants, it's okay because I'm over 60 and I have Parkinson's. So I can pee my pants and nobody can see.
Yeah, if you got an orifice or something coming out of it.
I feel for them. They're married to us.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd do without her.
Same here, man.
I'm glad she took that sickness and health. Glad she took that serious.
We can't smell. We can't taste. We can't do a lot of things, but we're sitting here laughing about it, So how's Parkinson? I mean, what do you hate the most about it? one thing that just really drives you nuts. Kevin Queen is Becky's son.
Hi, Kevin.
Robin Taylor's a friend of mine that has the same issues.
Well, recently, the last 6 months, my feet have what they call freezing, where I can't move them. They get stuck in position. That's probably the thing I hate the worst, because I can't get around like I used to be able to, and have a risk of falling. And I have to, like in the boxing class, you have to hold me up.
Really, I'm not holding you up. I'm leaning it against you, so I don't. That way, if I do fall, I fall on you, and it doesn't hurt as bad. Okay, I just want to let you in on
Okay.
that. Oh, you got to have a sense of humor to have this, right? Humor. Humor. Darryl knew what I meant.
I speaks Parky. I speak Parky. That's the other thing. As of late, my voice has started getting slurred.
You have a card that says that you're not drunk, you have Parkinson's?
I have a card, but I don't carry it.
I carry it because I was at the reunion a couple of years ago down at Limestone, and the deputy sheriff walked up to me and said, "Sir, are you okay? You're kind of weaving a little bit." And I said, "I have Parkinson's. I've got a card, and let me show you. I'm going to my wallet. I don't have a gun." And so I pulled that card out, and he thought that was a joke card.
I would have liked to have had that in college.
You would have liked to have that in college?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Me too. Because I was majoring in hospitality management before it was a degree. That's why it took me 5 years to get through there.
Yeah.
But I don't tell people that. Tell them.
Well, I've moved on since then, but they actually had a surprise birthday party for me back in July.
Alex says alcohol's not good for you.
It's not. I hadn't had a drink in 27 years.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But they had a surprise birthday party for him in July, and they had some people from high school and college that we used to go around together as a group. And some of them I hadn't seen in 30 years. And they told some stories in front of my wife and my son that I had to get counseling for my son, because he wasn't used to that. He wasn't aware of that part of Dad's life.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at you, man, but that's funny. Have you ever noticed that people with Parkinson's wear glasses?
Yeah.
So all of us that have Parkinson's, you got 3 pairs, but you got double vision.
What makes 6?
See why I have Parkinson's is so funny. Penny's laughing. So your feet are freezing. Can you kind of tell folks what is freezing? Because somebody will put it, well, like my roommate Bob, he'll say, "Well, why don't you put on an extra pair of socks or something?"
Well, when your brain tells you,
Command Sergeant Majors, good to see you, Sergeant. Appreciate your service.
when your brain says for your feet to move, your feet don't go anywhere, and that's just come on in a big way in the last 6 months, and it's really bad when you're in tight places or tight turns. But once I get going, I'm okay. But if I'm trying to turn around or make a turn around the corner, or first getting up, start walking.
Did you shuffle before you started freezing?
Not really. I don't think I did.
So you went right to this freezing?
I went straight to freezing.
Well, you go big, don't you?
Go big or go home.
That's right. So I'm starting to shuffle. Would you agree, Marianne? A little bit in the morning. Mornings. I got some friends that shuffle better than I do, so I'm going to get some shuffle therapy. Learn how to shuffle the right way. Take out the right part of the shoe. You know?
When it first started, I could lean or sing something in my head or count off, and I could get going that way.
Uh-huh.
I used to count to 6 and go on 6.
Right.
Why I chose 6, I don't know, but that's what it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go, but now it's gotten to the point where it really takes me a while to get going.
Right. Do your legs freeze at your feet? Do they freeze at your knee, or is it throughout your whole leg?
Throughout my whole leg, I have no control over hip action or from there all the way down, but you can feel it more in your feet, but you try to tell yourself to move and
Right.
it doesn't, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen a loss in muscle tissue?
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be 6'4" and 220.
I thought you were 217. That's what
Well,
what your player card says.
Who
He
counts?
showed me his player card when he played for the Miami Dolphins down there, and his player card when he played with the Florida Seminoles. Now you
Well,
played for Bobby, right?
Yeah, well, as bad as Seminoles are and the Dolphins are right now, I probably could play for them now.
So were you a linebacker or a running back?
Linebacker.
You're a linebacker?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Middle linebacker.
Middle linebacker at 217.
Yeah.
You were just a hitter, right?
Yeah.
You have any concussions?
I think I must have.
Time Warner Cable.
Ty Warner's calling me, and I don't even have Time Warner.
I played for Mickey Andrews down there.
Down at Mickey Andrews down there in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Went to church with him.
Uh-huh.
We were in Florida.
I'm being rude. I'm shutting my phone off so I don't get any phone calls from a company I don't even have a account with. Well, I wish I could talk tonight. All right. Matthew Hayes. Marianne, you remember Matthew from Burns? Great young man.
My sons went to Burns.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay. When did they graduate?
How
How old are they?
21 and 23.
Matthew's Mary Catherine's age, right? Yeah. Matthew, Mary Catherine's age. All right, let me look at my notes here for me, because you know how we forget stuff, right? You don't forget anything, do you?
What was your question?
How long were you with Miami?
Sorry about that.
That's fine. This is how it is all the time, right? All right, let me ask you this question. All right, get back to what we're supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay. How's having Parkinson's made you a better person?
Well, I say as I look back over, God has been leading our journey. When we were down in Florida, Beth found a neurologist that would listen to us. And then as we said, we did 2 trips to Mayo in Jacksonville, and we didn't have any money. And my parents' Sunday school class up here sent some money. A college friend of my parents raised money from other alumni. And I used to think going out to the mailbox and finding a check was just somebody just joking or not telling the truth, but that's what happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some people from our church down in Tallahassee who gave us hotel rooms, gave us gas money. And so we were able to do those 2 trips, but it wasn't productive. So that's when we moved up here.
Right.
And God took us to the right doctors. And I was able, and the thing that I would really point out the most is that I had 0 work credits. And when I had to quit working, I had one more than I needed in order to qualify for disability. And there's no way I could have worked in the last 2 years. And so what I've tried to do is I try to be a good example and God has led us through each step of this journey, and we just go day to day. Every day is a blessing. He's enabled me to. I do sunset pictures, and I make calendars out of those and give them away as gifts to people who maybe don't know the Lord. And they're, I feel like He's given me a good family, a good strong support system, and I, and I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for this. And so I try to be a good example in whatever I do. So I'm glad I've got it, to be honest with you.
Kind of really validates what never quitting is like.
Well, you know, you say you're dependent upon the Lord and your health's good and you've got money in your pocket and you got a good job and you got your career and everything. And when all that's taken away, because this disease is no respecter of position or person or whatever. And I've got friends who I've made that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for this. Gary and Penny in the boxing class. I go to PT. Parkinson's exercise with Gary, and we've become very close. And it's been a great experience, and we're close to your family now. We wouldn't know you and Marianne if it wouldn't have been for this. And so I'm just thankful for whatever blessing we can get.
Right. A lot of wisdom right there in those words, brother. What's the message that you would like to tell the medical community from your experience? What would you like to tell them? Am I making myself clear?
Well, basically, my situation was that because of my age, they wouldn't look at Parkinson's as an option. And that took, again, the tenacity on my wife's part to get together. She went back all the way back to the 80s and got my medical records from every doctor we'd been to and put them in a notebook. And then when the doctors saw them, they could see the Parkinson's coming home. And they wouldn't have seen it because the doctors have gotten so specialized, or medical community got so specialized, they stovepipe, and they don't look across the spectrum. And like I said, 3/4 of Parkinson's crosses depression, and depression usually comes on first, and sometimes years ahead of Parkinson's.
Yeah.
But the people aren't trained to look outside. If they thought it was mental health, and they were treating with some heavy duty drugs that were doing damage, not good. And they were well-meaning people. I'm not disparaging them individually, but they just weren't trained to look out for Parkinson's. And if you go to the hospital, you know, Parkinson's people have to have medicine on exact times. We can't differ.
You can't be 10 minutes late, can they?
You can't change the type of medicine that you're taking or whatever. And medical community is just not educated. They need to be educated because there's more and more people coming up with Parkinson's.
And I'm going to say this to my athletic training students that are listening tonight. And I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, future athletic trainers, I talk with you all the time in class about differential diagnosis. Just because the obvious has showed up, don't forget the unobvious, the hidden message. And that's why I want you to always have 3 to 4 differential diagnoses. And you're looking at 2 examples. Dementia, depression. Completely missed the Parkinson's initially. And then when my MRIs came back and showed the lesion in the head that they have blown away for years and saying, that's just T1 artifact, that
Yeah.
little lesion that we, I said, that's just an artifact, which means like just a shadow on the MRI. And now, courtesy of Joel Curé, a high school friend of mine and junior high friend, we had junior highs, and he said, no, that's not artifact. That's a marker. That tells you that your individual patient has Parkinson's because it's right here in what they call the T1 view. And he's a neuroradiologist. And one of the questions that he asked me, and we were talking, have you had bouts of depression? Well, I have PTSD. I don't go into that.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it gets around certain times of the year, I kind of get down a little bit. Like, today's the anniversary of my dear friend Timber King died.
Mm-hmm.
He was shot 2 days ago, 3 years ago, rather, on the day that I mentioned. And today's the day he died.
Mm.
And,
Sorry to hear that.
Died at the hands of doing his job. And since then, it's been tough at times to get, to get used to it. Not get over it, but to get used to it.
Right.
And one thing that affected me personally was I was starting to lose function in my arms and in my hands. Is that right, Marianne? And I had to step away from sports medicine because I couldn't feel and palpate. They told me I had carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah.
And I used to be a lot bigger muscular-wise, right, honey? Okay, like a lot bigger. Okay. And I first saw it in the neck, and then I developed the whole.
Mm-hmm.
Becky has that. We have some of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And then my hands, the dips in the hands. And everybody's seen those before, the cupping of the hands and the fattening of the fingers. And some of my friends say that's just old man fingers. But hold your fingers up there. They look relatively the same?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. Now, if I don't take Rytari, if I don't take any Rytari for 2 days, my hands will do that.
Yeah.
Not as bad, but it'll be visible.
Yeah.
My tremor is internal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to put a laser in my hand, you would see it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So both of us and some of the folks that are in our boxing class were completely misdiagnosed. Were not paid attention to by the symptoms that they were given. All right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they told me when I first was diagnosed is if you've seen one Parkinson's patient, you've seen one Parkinson's patient. Everybody's got different symptoms, and the medical community is not trained to look at it that way because I know Parkinson's patients all over the country, and nobody has described the same situation yet.
And then Penny talks about Gary, 3 years of misdiagnosis for back pain.
Yeah.
And a foot drag. 3 years. And you guys already knew that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the other thing that bothers me being a medical practitioner is that you didn't have enough work credits.
Correct.
To qualify for disability.
And I want to say when I went in and they said I had Parkinson's and they said I had to have all those work credits in 10 years, which I had none. And I asked the movement specialist over in Charlotte, I asked her, do you think I can make it? And she said, I can't guarantee, but we'll give it a try. And my primary physician in Lincoln, my Parkinson's neurologist in Hickory, and my movement specialist in Charlotte, I can't say enough good things about them because, like I said, I had one more credit than I needed when I got to where I couldn't work anymore.
Here's my issue with that. Darryl should have been ready to go back to work. Never. And we'll give free medical insurance to people that are illegal in our country. And I'm not a political person, but I've had enough. We've got a friend over here that had to go back to work, jeopardize his life to get enough credits from the Social Security system for a system he's already paid into and is entitled to be an American citizen and work to pay into. And they tell him that he's got to go back with Parkinson's at the risk of driving 8 hours a day, spend a week away from his family work, get enough credits so he can qualify for disability. That's ridiculous. And we got folks sucking off of us that have done absolutely nothing getting disability. And that I don't know how they get around it, how they waive it, but I personally know folks that do not have enough time in the workforce that are riding on full disability payments from Social Security. Because what they did is they got an attorney and they went back time 3, time 4, time 5, and time 6, and finally Social Security gave up and said, okay, fine. Okay? So I say, I can't say that on the show.
Well, I do have to say they gave it to me on the first round.
Right,
So.
but you know something, I'm not arguing with you, brother. I'm right here with you, man. What I'm saying is you should have never, ever, ever had to do that.
Yeah.
Never. Because one thing it says right in the qualifications, Jimmy Martin, you know what I'm talking about. Jimmy Martin from Limestone had a stroke, right? And beat it. You shouldn't be here either. Where was I? You're gonna have to remember. Okay, I remember where I am. My point is this, is that our disease only gets worse and never gets better, right? We lose something every single day. It just might be a small, right? But we do lose something. And they're telling you that you got to go back and get worse in order to get what you need to take care of you, to slow you down so you live longer. Now, how in the hell does that make any sense?
It doesn't. It didn't then. It doesn't now.
That's what makes me mad. That make you mad?
Well, not as mad now as it was then.
Okay. Well, it's your responsibility out there tonight, everybody listening. You need to talk to your representative, and you need to tell them about Jim and Darryl and our friends that have Parkinson's, and our friends that have Alzheimer's, and our friends that have MS, having to work a lot longer than they need to work, okay, at the jeopardy of their health, in order to make sure that they can max out their benefit package so they can get the right amount of credits for full disability so we get put on Medicare. And then when you're on Medicare, if you don't have a supplemental, you still got to pay out of your pocket. And if you're not working and you're disabled, how in the heck can you pay out of your pocket?
Well, we took a 60% hit in income. Even though on disability, we took a 60% hit in income.
You know, the only way we're going to get through this thing together, right?
Yeah.
The only way we're going to get through it. You know, that's one reason I do this show once a week, and it's for the people that I come into contact with. The people I come into contact with every week are better than the week before. Now, the folks, I'm not saying that the folks that I met last week or hung around with last week were marginal. It's just that realm of people that I meet gets bigger and bigger and bigger every week, and I learn from them, and now we've surrounded ourselves with a wonderful network of folks. There's Shannon Allen. Do you remember Shannon's show about the drug addiction?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
not one bit of
excellent
shame.
show.
Right. Not one bit ashamed of that. And because he got out there and was open like you're doing tonight, more people are aware of opioid addiction. More people understand his testimony. More people understand of where he was, where he went down the rabbit hole, how he got out, who got him out of the rabbit hole, and where he is now.
God bless you, Shannon.
And he's an inspiration. He works for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's got a wonderful parish that he works for. He's going to Gardner Webb University and working on his ministerial credentials and his master's degree. I've known Shannon a long time. He coached my son in baseball. I mean, he's just a really top-notch guy. And he's faced some of the same evils that we have, because our disease is evil. It's not.
It is.
And it never goes away, does it?
No.
All right, so I got a couple things I want to wrap it up with. Okay. How do you define a hero?
Someone who sacrifices themselves for others.
Have you ever met a hero?
You?
I'm not a hero, man. Thank you, though. Have you ever run across, other than our present here, ever run across a hero?
Well, I consider the people that I've come in contact with in the last 10 years of this journey, all of them heroes, because everybody did a little something that helped us move forward. And so I don't think I could pick one out of that. There's just been so many people who just like my friend in Virginia, who made contact with community college up there. And who would have thought they would take a part-time 30-hour or 29-hour a week telecommuter who had to travel 8 hours to get there, and still they accommodated me. And I would have never even thought about that, but she came up with the idea, and she said, pass it by and see if they'll do it. And they were willing to do it. So I guess, but so many people have done things for us, I can't name one. There's just so many heroes. I guess my wife would probably be my biggest hero.
There you go, girl. Do you ever feel like you got something that has just got to get out, but you just can't get it out? You understand what I mean by that?
Not really.
Okay. Like one thing that I have a real problem with is I have this book of knowledge in my head. Okay. And for some reason, I'm being pushed now internally that I got to start getting it out because I think time is pushing me. You understand what I mean by that?
Yes. Well, you're sharing. You've gotten so much knowledge that you built up that you want to share it before you lose the opportunity to share it.
Right.
And that's sort of what I do with my calendars. I take pictures of God's beauty, and I'm getting where I can't get down to take the pictures anymore. And I feel like there's these verses and pictures that God has painted for me for that day that I have to get it out to others. And but I did want to say one other thing too is I've gotten an opportunity to be around my family for the last 2 years, and they've supported me. My mom takes me 3 or 4 days a week to Mount Holly or to Hickory or to Lincoln, and she's 81 years old. And I just don't know what I'd do without her. And I want to make sure that she and my dad, who's also 81, they get a shout out for all that they do for me, because Beth can still work, my wife can still work, and she knows I'm taken care of.
That's what family's about, right?
Yeah.
And so much about families in America are falling apart because people think more about themselves than they do others. And because our generation's much different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, how young are you now?
56.
56, okay, and I'm 62. And we essentially are some of the same generation. A little overlap there too.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, what keeps you going, man? What keeps you going?
God. I want to honor him in whatever I do. And this made me so much more dependent upon him. I just don't know how people get through life without knowing the Lord and letting him guide their steps. Because I was being a planner, I was always 10, 20 years down the road in everything that I did, and I lived my life in the future. And a lot of those things never came about, but I've had, in the last 7 years, I've had to live day to day. And Beth, my wife, can tell you it's hard on me to do that, but it's a daily journey. And like I said, every day is a blessing.
All right, so are you more comfortable around people with Parkinson's or are they more comfortable around able-bodied?
I think I'm good with everybody.
Good. I got to a point to where I was more comfortable around around folks with disabilities than I was with able-bodied. Did you ever go through that?
I did, because we had something to talk about. And just like with Gary, he and I have friended up, and Penny, his wife, we friended up because we are about the same stage. And so we have a lot of same symptoms, and we support each other. And I can say I'm more comfortable that way, but it's like when I'm with people who are not disabled, they don't seem to treat me any different. So that I'm not looking for anything out of them, special treatment, anything, but they do help me when I need help.
You see the young lady up there, Alex Lathrop? You see where it says Alex right here? Alex Lathrop.
I'll take the one on the right.
Okay, Alex, the one on the right. Alex has autism. And she was one of my former students, and Alex was never supposed to talk and was not supposed to be functional. And she graduated from high school, went to Gardner Webb program over there. Now she has her own place, and she's a participant in our show. And she is a bundle of wisdom. And she said a disability is a gift.
Yes, it is. I agree
So
with you.
things happen for a reason. We shine like the sun to move away from cloudy rains.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that so? Autism wasn't supposed to be functional. Is that the Beatles?
That's the Beatles.
Must be 9 o'clock. All righty. After the Beatles get done playing, we'll play some beach music, and we'll call it a day.
It sounds good. Thanks for coming over.
Well, it's been a wonderful show. I think we've learned so much from you, and I think it's because you're not afraid to get the message out that more people are going to be informed, and our disease that we have I think people are going to quit looking at celebrities that have it, like Alan Alda and Linda Ronstadt, who do absolutely nothing for it, versus somebody like Michael J. Fox that has done nothing but provide a resource of research and used his celebrity platform to help us get the medications that we need, the therapies we need, and help us in this journey. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this, and this is going to be pretty bold to say. And if I hurt your feelings, I apologize.
That's fine. You don't.
Okay. What I'm looking at is a mirror of myself now.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
All right. By me being with him, I can accept that so much easier. Okay.
I understand. I look at myself a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I look at myself now, and I can tell what it's doing, where it's going, and it helps to know and be prepared for that.
Right. That's the planner in you.
That's
the planner in me. And finally, to say this, we're not going to quit.
No.
We're going to die with it, not from it. We're going to slow it down. We're going to punch the snot out of it on Wednesday nights.
Absolutely.
And, we've got our family to support us. Our families are caregivers. Our families are our best friends. They're our heroes. And we know who takes charge of all this. So I'm going to finish it out. You like a little more beach music, Darryl?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Time Warner didn't call me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I don't have an account with them. You don't have an account with them, do you?
No.
Okay, good. There we go. Walking up a one-way street with Willie T. It's Jim Prevost and Darryl. You didn't have a last name, do you? You're just going by Darryl tonight?
Crawford.
It's Darryl Crawford. That's right. I knew Darryl Crawford. His lovely wife, Beth, my wife, Marianne, are with us tonight. Thank you for being the only two in the crowd, the audience. And always remember that?
Embrace and shake.
All right. Y'all take care. God bless you. God bless the 82nd Airborne, Fire, EMS, and law enforcement for keeping us safe at night. They ride the streets and protect us. Pay it forward. Take care. Love you. Bye.